Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a declutter meets organization video. As you can see here, I have 2 Z palettes and then a little quad of some single eyeshadows. Most of them are Makeup Geek, and then I do have a few Anastasia Beverly Hills single shadows. So what I want to do is I want to go through and declutter them a little bit and pick out the shades that I don't really use that I want to give to family and friends, and then I want to organize the shades that I am going to keep. So if you're interested in checking out my collection and doing a little bit of a declutter with me, then go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, so as you can see, I've pulled out all of my single eyeshadows, and like I said, most of them are Makeup Geek, but there are a few Anastasia Beverly Hills shadows thrown in there. So what I'm going to do is kind of pull out the shades that I'm going to declutter first, and I actually have 2 girlfriends that I work with that I'm going to bring the shadows in for and kind of let them pick and choose which ones they want, because I do know that they're into makeup and they're growing their collection. So I'm going to pick out the ones that I don't show enough love to, and I'm going to actually put them in this Z palette with my blushes, and I'm going to take this to work and kind of let them pick through and see which ones they want. And actually the shades that were in this palette are shades that like I don't really reach for or I don't really use a lot, so most of the shadows that were in there are probably going to go back in there for them to pick through. So I want to start with these 4 shades right here. All 4 of these are Anastasia Beverly Hills. This one right here is in the shade Birkin, and so it's just kind of like a nice neutral shade, but as you can see in my collection, I have tons of those, so I'm gonna let them pick through that one. This one right here, I actually think that I might keep. This one is Dusty Rose, and I didn't reach for it a lot because it was in that quad. It kind of reminds me of, let me see if I can grab it here with my nails, this shade right here. This one is in the shade Unexpected, but Unexpected is more purple, and I feel like Dusty Rose is more of like a dusty shade. So let's actually go ahead and swatch them. Here is, it's hard to do when you're holding it. Here is Dusty Rose, and here is Unexpected. So Dusty Rose has more of a mauve undertone. Unexpected is more purple. So I'm going to go ahead and let go of Unexpected, and I'm going to hold on to Dusty Rose because I think I'll get more use out of that one. The next shade from Anastasia right here, this is in the shade Sienna, and I actually really wanted that shade for a long time, but when I looked at it next to Cocoa Bear, you can see that they look pretty identical, at least in the pan. And when I swatch them, this one right here is Sienna and this one is Cocoa Bear. They look nearly identical. So I'm gonna let go of Sienna because I haven't used it as much as Cocoa Bear, and I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to Cocoa Bear. And this last shade right here, this one is in Pink Champagne, and I actually picked this shade up before I got the, I think it was the World Traveler palette, the Shadow Couture World Traveler palette, which has pink champagne in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this one go. This one right here is a very beautiful shade. It's in the shade Sangria. Again, it's an Anastasia shadow, and it's really, really pretty. It kind of reminds me of this Makeup Geek shadow here in Anarchy. So here is the Anastasia, here is Makeup Geek, and they look pretty similar swatched. It looks like there's a little bit more pigment in the Anastasia one, but I'm going to go ahead and keep Anarchy by Makeup Geek, and I haven't used this one too much by ABH and Sangria, so I'm going to go ahead and let that one go as well. Also by Anastasia Beverly Hills is the shade Amber. This is a very unique shade, I feel like. It's really pretty. It's like a gold champagne. And I kind of forget about it a lot, but I really don't think that I have a shade like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to that one. I think those are all of my single Anastasia shades, and I know it looks like I'm kind of getting rid of a lot of my ABH shadows, but I really do like them. But I have a couple palettes. I have the Modern Renaissance palette, I have the World Traveler palette, and I have the Makeup by Mario palette from Anastasia, and I do really like the shades, but like I said, if I have duplicate shades in my Makeup Geek collection, then I don't really need them both. So I'm gonna let those ones go. This is a Makeup Geek shade, I'm pretty sure. It is in the shade Cosmopolitan, and I think people said this is a dupe for one of the MAC shades. I can't remember what they said it's a dupe for. I'll try to look it up and link it on the screen if I can, but this is not a shade that I typically go for just because it has a pretty heavy orange undertone, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter that one. I also have this shade right here. This was one of my very first Makeup Geek shadows in the shade Hipster, and it's kind of like a taupey color with a little bit of a sheen. It almost looks like there are little glitters in there, but they don't come out on the eyes. However, this is not really a shade that I reach for too much, so I'm gonna let that guy go as well. And I have this shade, which actually looks very similar. This one is in Moon Dust. So this is a little bit more of a gray, whereas the Hipster, I think it was, looks a little bit more taupe. But again, I don't ever reach for that one, so I'm gonna let that one go as well. This is a very pretty purple shade. It's called Prom Night. Again, it's more of like a satin sheen finish, and it does look really pretty on the eyes, but it just doesn't get a lot of love. I don't really reach for it, so I'm gonna declutter that one. Then we have, this is almost like a bronze sheen. This is in the shade Homecoming, and it kind of reminds me a little bit, well no, they kind of look different in the pan. This one's Lucky Penny, that one's a little bit darker. It made me think of it, maybe if Lucky Penny and Pocket Change had a baby, it might be this guy right here in Homecoming, which is a very pretty, it's almost like a taupey bronze shade, and I used it a few times, but I don't really reach for it a lot now, so I'm gonna let my friends pick through that one. This one definitely has a little bit of a sheen as well. This is in the shade Pretentious, and this is a little bit more bronze than the shade that I just showed you a minute ago. But again, I'm gonna let that one go. And I have another purple shade here. Again, it looks like it has a little bit of a sheen. This is in the shade Twilight, and I used to use this one a little bit more, but I mean, like I said, it was already in the palette that I wasn't getting a lot of use out of, so I'm gonna let him go. I did get this little guy in, was it an Ipsy bag? I don't have Ipsy anymore, but I think I got this in an Ipsy bag, and I'm pretty sure it was an Urban Decay eyeshadow, although there's really no way for me to know, but it almost looks like Blue Brown from MAC. But I have a shade by Makeup Geek right here. This one's called Havoc, which is also kind of a blue brown from MAC. So I'm going to keep Havoc, and I really don't think I even used this other than swatching it. So I will bring that one as well. Now, these shades right here were the eyeshadows that I did get a lot of use out of, but I still want to go through and figure out if I'm going to use them and how I want to put them in my Z palette. So let me rearrange here. I'm going to go ahead and bring my Z palette forward, and we're going to kind of put them in one by one. Also, these two shades right here. This one is, oop, I almost dropped it. This one is by Makeup Geek. It's a foiled shade in Pegasus, and although this is not like an everyday eyeshadow, it's very unique in my collection, so I want to keep it. And also I have this purple foiled shade by Makeup Geek, and this is in Caitlin Rose, and this was one of my first shadows, and although I don't reach for it a lot, I do reach for it sometimes, so I'm going to keep that one as well. So my idea for the palette, excuse that it's dirty, but it gets a lot of love, is I want to kind of have my neutral shades on top and build into some deeper shadows. So I am going to start with this guy right here. And this is in the shade Ice Queen. And this is a really nice brightening eyeshadow. So I'm going to go ahead and keep Ice Queen. I do use it in the inner corner sometimes to highlight. And then I do have another highlight shade. This is one of her most popular shadows, I feel like. This is Shimma Shimma by Makeup Geek, and there is actually a pretty considerable dent in there. I don't know if you can tell, so I'm going to keep that one because I like to use it to highlight the brow bone. Then I think I'm going to go in, actually I might move this one over, and I have this shade right here. This is a duochrome. This is Phantom, and so it looks a little bit white, but also a little bit pink and purple, and I don't use it a lot, but it's like so unique that I just don't think I can get rid of it. So I'm actually going to put that one there and scoot Shimma Shimma over a little bit. And then I'm going to take this shade right here. This one is in Rapunzel, and it is a satin finish, so it's not fully matte, but there's no chunky glitter or anything. And this is also a nice like highlight shade for the brow bone. It's definitely got a little bit of like a creamy yellow undertone. You could put it on your lid, but I'm gonna keep this one. I do like it. I don't use it a whole lot, but I do like it, so I'm not ready to part with that one yet. And I think before I go in with my foiled shades, which used to be at the top, I'm going to keep going with like transition shades. So obviously these two that I've hit pan on, I'm going to keep. This one is Beaches and Cream, and this one is in Creme Brulee, one of her most popular transition shades. I'm going to keep both of those, and I actually dip into both of them and use them both as a transition shade. So I'm going to keep those ones. I'm going to leave them right there. These two shades are very similar. This one right here is Tiki Hut, and I'm pretty sure this one's Preppy. This one is Preppy. So Tiki Hut is a little bit warmer, and Preppy is a little bit more of like, almost like a lighter pukey shade, if you want to call it that, but they're pretty similar. I think I'm going to keep Tiki Hut. I'm going to put Tiki Hut right there, and I think I'm going to let go of Preppy and put that one in my declutter pile. This eyeshadow right here in Latte, I feel like I always call it Frappe, but it's Latte. This was one of the first Makeup Geek eyeshadows that I got. This is definitely a more cool toned transition shade, a brown cool tone transition shade, but I don't use it a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter that guy as well. Then we're going to grab this very warm orange shade. This one is a very unique shade. It's Early Bird, and I don't have anything in my collection like this, so although this is not like an everyday go-to shade for me, I am going to keep it because I do like it and I do reach for it sometimes. And then before we go darker, I think I'm going to kind of go maybe more purple, so I'm going to take this like pinky salmon shade. This is in Tuscan Sun, and I'm going to keep Tuscan Sun. That's one of my newer eyeshadow shades, and I actually used Tuscan Sun in my purple makeup tutorial. And this one right here is the Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow that we switched one of my Makeup Geek ones out for in Dusty Rose. So I'll put that one right there. This one right here is almost like Dusty Rose, but it's a little bit more of a deeper purple shade. And this is in Vintage. It's a matte. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to that one. And then these have sheens. So I think what I'll do is go in with these two shades right here first. And maybe I should stick purple with purple. This one right here is like a cranberry shade in the shade Bitten, and I don't reach for it a whole lot, but every now and then I do. So I'm not 100% sure on this one. I'm going to put him to the side for now, but I am going to keep Cocoa Bear. This is one of her best selling eyeshadows. So I'll put that right there. Well, I kind of want to put this here if I'm going to keep it. I might have something similar to this shade. I could probably use Red Ochre, which would be a little bit more red. Red Ochre is in my Modern Renaissance palette, so I'm going to go ahead and let Bitten go. And then I think I will move on to maybe some of these sheens. Or do I want to go green? Let's do these two shades right here. This one is one of my newer shades in Lucky Penny, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that shade. And then this one right here is a little bit more bronze and Pocket Change, and I'll put that right there. And then before we get into the greens, I'm going to go ahead and take this beautiful shade in Anarchy, put that one right there. And then I think I'll go into my greens. So I'll start with this matte green shade that I have in High Tea. Definitely going to keep that one. Then we will go into this lighter green foiled eyeshadow in Charmed. And I'll keep that one right there. Then we'll go in with this. This is definitely much more of like a forest green in the shade Take Two. I'm going to keep that one. This is the one that reminds me of like the blue-brown pigment from MAC in the shade Havoc. This one is, I think it's a duochrome. Pretty sure this is a duochrome. So I'm going to put that one right there. And then we're going to go in with this bright copper shade. This one is Legend. And we'll put Legend right there. Then I have this shade right here in Grandstand. And I feel like Grandstand kind of got messed up by the oils in my finger, and I don't really ever reach for this one, but I don't know that I want to give it to the girls because it's kind of been messed up a little bit. So I actually think I might pitch Grandstand. That was one of the first shades that I got, and I think maybe she's switched her formula since then, but I think that one's messed up from my finger. So I'm going to let that one go, but I'm going to go back to this Anastasia shadow in Amber that I said I was going to keep, and I'm going to slip Amber right in there. And so then my other foils that I have will kind of be my bottom row. So those will be my pops of color. I'm going to take this shade right here in Whimsical. It's a foiled. This is a very beautiful inner corner shade. I'm going to kind of pop that one right there. Next to that, I have this gorgeous, gorgeous purple shade. This is Pillow Talk. This is not a foiled, but like, look at that pigment. It's so beautiful. So definitely keeping her. I'll put her right there. And then I will go in with this beautiful shade right here in Karma. Pretty sure this one's a duochrome. I don't use it a whole lot, but maybe it's not a duochrome. I don't know. I think it is. There's like a little bit of gold, but a little bit of green. Either way, Karma's going to go right there. And then, of course, I'm going to pop these two shades in, Pegasus and Caitlin Rose. And that is going to fill up my Z palette that I'm keeping. I do have room for one more eyeshadow right here. I did get this Z palette from Makeup Geek, I think, but I do want to get an extra large one because this really only fits 4 rows. And if I do get more shadows, they won't be able to all fit in here. And I like the idea of being able to keep them all in one place. So those are the ones I'm going to keep. I'm going to pitch Grandstand because I feel like it's not good anymore. And then ignore my 3 blushes. I am keeping those, but I don't have another Z palette to put these shadows in. But these are the shadows here that I'm going to go ahead and take to work and let the ladies pick through and see what they want. I'm also going to keep this quad even though it's empty because that'll be great for traveling if I know that I'm going to do some makeup but I don't want to pull my whole Z palette and bring that with me. I can just kind of pull out some shades and put them in there. But otherwise, that's going to do it for this video, for this single eyeshadow declutter and organization. If you did like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new, I hope that you will subscribe before you go. That way you can be notified when I post. I do post videos twice a week, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. CST and Saturdays at 11 a.m. CST. But I have been working really hard to get 3 videos up a week. And so that 3rd video usually goes up on either Monday or Tuesday if it's part of my Tested Out Tuesday series. Again, if you have any video suggestions or anything that you guys want to see, feel free to list them in the comments down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter at KBellaBeautyXO, or I'm over on Instagram at KBellaBeauty. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!